Good afternoon. The second panel, we've been doing this panel for the last 3 to 4 years in various ways, and we're trying to approach it slightly different today. My name is John Pearson from Bechtel International Center, and I'm delighted to be with 3 of my colleagues, and we'll go in this order. I'll talk first about some brief tips about preparation before you go. Alejandro Martinez from Psychological Services in Vaden will talk about some issues for when you're overseas. Brendan Walsh from the Office of International Affairs at Stanford will talk a little bit about how you respond to any crises overseas, and I know that came up a little bit in the student panel. And then Carrie Costanzo from UAR and also Department of Anthropology will talk a little bit about gender issues. When we met to discuss this panel, we decided that what we wanted to leave you with were 3 or 4 talking points for each of us, rather than a long list of things to consider. So my part really is just a number of comments about how to practically prepare to go. And many of you may have already done this. Some of you may just be thinking about it, but all of them we think are important. There is a handout which has many of the links to offices such as International Affairs and to a website at Bechtel which has some more practical tips on preparing to go overseas. You'll notice that culture remains no matter how long you have lived in the United States. I've been here since 1971, but being from the UK, I still think you travel overseas. You don't travel abroad. So that's hence the title, Preparing to Travel Overseas. That's what happens when you come from an island. So the first point we want to leave you with is to please register your travel. And by that, there are 2 places at Stanford to register your travel. One is through the International Travel Assistance Program, and the link is provided in the handout. And the second is through Brendan's Office of International Affairs and their travel tracker. And we really think this is very important to make sure that these sites at Stanford understand where you're going and for how long, your departure and return dates. This helps us in the case of any need to contact you or in case of any crises overseas. Similar to that is to make sure, and it did come up in the student panel, to make sure you register with the US State Department. And again, there's a link. If you are not a US citizen, we strongly encourage you to register with the consulate or the embassy of your country in the country to which you're going. The second point is confirm your documents. It sounds trivial, but it isn't. We have instances every year, and I certainly see this in the other side with all the international students that come to Stanford. Countries are more and more concerned that people entering their country have the appropriate documents to do what it is they wish to do. So, for example, now going to France as an intern, if that's the status you would go to France, now needs a memorandum of understanding between Stanford and the company you're going to intern with. You can't just turn up in France and say, I'm here to intern. The same in the UK. So please check out the websites of the countries you're going to, the embassies, and there is a link here. If you do have issues or concerns, I'm glad to try and help, but it is becoming more and more complex. The third point I'd like to leave you with is the issue around health and vaccinations. Vaden Travel Clinic and the whole array of services of Vaden Student Health are important to take into account. They do have, and it may have been mentioned before, they do have a travel preparation course that you can take through STARS online. So we would encourage you to really think about that. Looking after your health overseas is important. And that leads to ensuring that whatever insurance you currently have covers you overseas. Don't forget to confirm that. If you're on your parents' insurance, ensure what the coverage is. You need to make sure that you have evacuation and repatriation insurance. Some of that is provided through an international student ID card if you obtain one of those. Just a word about the international student ID card. It is not insurance. It is not medical insurance. It does provide some repatriation and evacuation support. So please really do consider your health insurance to ensure it covers you overseas. The same is true of prescriptions. Make sure you have adequate supplies of any prescription drugs. Those are my 3 points, but I'm going to add a fourth. Many of you will come back. Maybe all of you will come back and want to go back again. And one of the things that came up at the event, I think last year or the year before, was to remind you that there are places at Stanford when you come back. The International Center is one. It's not the only one that can provide you advice and guidance on going back overseas for a longer period of time. Our work at the International Center is mainly through scholarships. Whether it's to the UK, whether it's the Loose Scholarship to Asia, whether it's the Fulbright to nearly 90 countries. So there are possibilities, strong possibilities, that if you haven't got the country out of your system that you're visiting this summer, or your research hasn't has whetted your appetite to do further study there, then we'd be delighted to see you when you come back. So I say the handout has those comments, and it does have some links. I think what we're going to do is ask, after each speaker, if there are any questions on that. If not, I will turn it over to Alejandro. Thank you.